Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. It's Football at 4.
Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Adam Caplan's here. Don't forget the Inside the Birds pregame and postgame show on Sunday, which I believe the pregame will be a 5 o'clock start with the Sunday night football game, if my memory serves, from Jeff Mosher Wednesday's edition. Adam Caplan is here. We talk a little Eagles and Cowboys. There's the injury report, Adam, which has kind of become a Friday tradition as we're getting the injury report live during Football at 4. So there you go. You can see none of the Eagles starters seem to be out in this game, Adam. So it looks like they're going to have all 5 guys and Maddox back for the game.
Yeah, Mike, this is great news. I said something on Twitter, like, this is really good. Because, first of all, you don't want, if you're going to play Dallas especially, and it's a divisional game, which is the most important thing here, you don't want to be you want to be at full strength. You don't want to have a weakness. And they're in really good shape here. Yeah, this is great news because we had found out this morning, actually, after we taped our show, that Elliott was probably going to – Elliott, yes, the kid was going to play. We also have another note, which we were going to save for Sunday, but now it's out. So my Lada's issue has nothing with pain. It's the ability, Mike, to stretch his shoulder. It's a flexibility issue, and whatever they've done for him, it's working. This is great news. I'm just so happy that we're going to have the Eagles here at full strength. Not that I'm rooting, but I want this to be a great game.
Yeah,
it should be a great game, and this is great news.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is you want full strength against full strength here. The Eagles, Mailata, Kelsey, Dickerson, Seimala, they were all guys on the injured list. They're all looking like they're going to play. Maddox is another big one. He's missed the last couple of weeks getting him back. So the Eagles look like they're getting some guys back. What about the Dallas side of the ball?
Yeah, look, we know that Cooper Rush is going to start. Michael Parsons is going to play with his groin injury. There were a couple that we were told. In fact, let me open up my notebook here. Yeah, the ones that I think Dallas is kind of concerned with, and this is a big one. Dalton Schultz, who's got a PCL sprain. He missed some time. He came back with it. He re-injured it last week. They don't know if they're going to have him for sure, and if he plays, they don't know how long they'll have him. They're getting Jaron Kirsch back from his MCL sprain. He's the guy who's going to cover Goddard probably a lot. He's 6'4". He's the tallest safety in the NFL. He's really good. They're going to get Quentin Bohanna back, who missed a game last week. He's got one of the starting D tackles. Look, see, the thing with these injuries, by the way, this is a little pro tip for your listeners. When a team does not list a player with an injury with a game status designation, which means questionable, doubtful, or out, that generally means probable. On the old injury report, that means almost certainly be able to play. But what it doesn't tell you is how long they could go. And that's the concern is my understanding as of this morning is there's no concern with Elliott finishing the game. He actually kicked well. We just don't know if Mailata could last the whole game. I hope he can. It's just up to him how he feels, and he's got to be honest with the personnel staff. The medical staff. He's got to be able to do that. Maddox, when he plays, we said this on today's show, if he could stick his ankle, that bad ankle, on the ground and move it and stop and start, then he'll be good to go.
Yeah. Do we know Dillard's status at all, Adam?
They have till tomorrow. They have till tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern to activate him, so they don't have to do that today. He's not on the roster. He's on designated for return.
Correct. Now the injuries are kind of cleared up here. What's the biggest concerns for Philadelphia when you look at this matchup?
It's okay. So, we're going to assume right now that Mailata will be in the lineup, barring a setback. Last week, they listed him as doubtful, and then which is, by the way, they almost never do. They're one of the few teams that doesn't use doubtful. And then they had the rare downgrade on Saturday, which the Eagles rarely do. So they have to feel that he's going to be able to go and finish the game. He's just got to hold up. That injured, I think it's his right shoulder. It's got to hold up. To me, if I'm Dallas, I'm going right at that shoulder. They have the information because it's from the tape. They just have to watch. Their pro staff watches the game tape when he hurt his shoulder, and they just give it to the coaches so they know. And I'm going to run a bunch of guys at him, see how flexible that shoulder is. So that would be my concern there. And then holding up against that great Dallas pass rush. They're not a high blitz team. They just win a lot. They have a high win rate just on their four-man front. And their disguise is really good. Hurts is going to have to take advantage of whatever opportunities that they have to throw the football. They just have to execute better, way better than last week. Because if you remember, Mike, they start off they were great when they went up 14-0. And then they only scored, 6 points after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you mentioned not a lot of blitzes, a lot of wins up front. And it seems like a team, Adam, that you can beat down the field. The Eagles have the most explosive plays in the league so far this year. I think the number is 58 explosive plays, defined as 15 or more yards. Is Dallas a team you should be able to beat down the field?
Well, here's the thing. They are super deep in their secondary, one of the deepest secondaries in the National Football League. Not super deep at linebacker, but they're really deep. They can match up against the Eagles. I don't see this as a terribly high-scoring game. It's just about opportunities and not turning it over, and we know how careful Hurts is. And here's an unbelievable stat with Cooper Rush, who's going to start again at quarterback. Bottom third in pass attempts per game, 25.5 per game. Why? Their defense is great. They don't have to throw the ball very much, and they run the ball fairly well. They're not great. They've had some really good games running it, not so good some other times. But they just don't turn it over, and their defense seems to win games. Like last week's game against the Rams, their defense won it for them. They were tremendous against the Rams. The Rams have a beat-up offensive line. So it's fascinating to see what's happening here with these guys being able to play. I love it. I feel like this is an even game.
Real quick, Adam.
We weren't sure exactly where Mailata was at with his shoulder.
Yeah. Real quick, CeeDee Lamb has been put on, did not participate today with a hip problem. So add that to the Dallas mix as well.
To throw. I can't imagine he'll get away with throwing the ball like 20 times this game. That's hard for me to imagine.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you heard me, but CeeDee Lamb, DNP, did not practice today. He has a hip problem, so he just was added to their injury list. So that's one guy that I don't think we thought. But, I mean, really, he's the biggest weapon in their offense. But Pollard and Elliott, they've been using that run game a lot more, and those two guys have been a big part of it. So, for these two teams, what do they have to do in order to win? This is a pretty evenly matched. Got the great defense against a really good offense. This should be a lot of fun. But what do these teams have to do to win?
This is huge, though, with this. You just mentioned the CeeDee Lamb injury because, again, Dalton Schultz has got the PCL sprain. So if he plays, you don't know how limited it'll be. He was limited last week's game. Lamb has this new injury. He is their slot receiver. He moves the chains. Michael Gallup's back from his ACL injury. He came back a couple weeks ago. Noah Brown's a kid who's been there since 2007. This is his 6th year, who's kind of had a breakout season at receiver. And the other thing is Tony Pollard out of the backfield. He's explosive.
Yep.
Of the two running backs, he's explosive for the Eagles. With Kaiser White, he's got to keep an eye on that. Since Dak is not going to start, you don't have to worry about the run with Cooper Rush. That's huge, not having to do that. You don't have to spy him. So Kaiser White, I'd make sure he keeps an eye on Tony Pollard there.
There you go. Eagles and Cowboys renew their rivalry Sunday night. You can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Adam Caplan. By the way, am I right about that? 5 o'clock for the Inside the Birds pregame?
Yes, 5 to 7 p.m. Yes, with me, Mosher, Jason Avant, and Greg Cosell. They're going to have great stuff. Cannot wait. And then we got a really cool announcement for our Patreon subscribers. We're going to have a former NFL defensive coordinator who's going to come on and break down the defense that they're running. And he's got a lot of good information. I talked to this guy this week, and that's kind of what we do for our Patreon subscribers. We bring in the best and guys who could break down the game for us.
So that's over at Inside the Birds YouTube channel on game day. You can watch them live at 5 o'clock with the pregame. And, of course, football at 4. Moshe will be back on Monday to break it all down right here on the Sports Bash. Adam, enjoy, bud.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, Adam Caplan here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN.